Hey everybody, welcome back to When Harry Met Board Games, where we feed our people with relatable content, and our victory condition is your satisfaction. I'm Harry, and today we have another playthrough video for you all. Today I'll be playing through this game right here, Harbour, designed by Scott Almes of Tiny Epic fame from the Tiny Epic series of games, and published by Tasty Minstrel Games. This is not published by Gamelin Games, which is why you don't have the words Tiny Epic in the title, but believe you me, this is a Tiny Epic game. And this is what the game looks like set up. Each player controls their own fantastical race with a different job class. And basically each player controls one little worker. This is a worker placement game. And that worker will go into any of the buildings that are available. And these buildings basically help you acquire different goods that you will be selling according to the price that the market establishes that they are worth. And you'll be using that money to buy these very same buildings and adding them to your tableau or your collection of buildings. Because at the end of the game, the winner is the player who has the highest sum value of buildings, right? The end of the game is triggered once a player has acquired 4 different buildings, so it's not very lengthy of a game. And once every player has had an equal amount of turns after said player has acquired 4 buildings, the game is over. And again, whoever has the highest value of buildings is the winner. So right here we have the main player board. It's just this small little card right here. And basically this is the market. You have the 4 different goods that are available in this game. You have your stone, your wood, your meat, and your fish. And basically you're using these different spots in which they're located, and you could set it up randomly to start the game. And the good or resource that's on this space here is worth $2 if you sell it. And the resource right here on this slot is worth 3. The resource here is worth 4. And this resource here on the final end is worth $5 upon selling it. Now, as you sell resources, what will happen is the player selling them will lower them over here to indicate that they have been sold, and this will manipulate and adjust the market, because what would happen with the remaining goods that had not been sold in this round is that they would slide rightward and become more valuable, and these here would go like this, and they would change in value. So that's just a little preview of how this market here works. Each player gets their own player card, which basically gives them a race or a character. For the sakes or the purposes of this game, I'll be playing with the Dwarfs, which is basically the starting character that has no special abilities. But on the opposite side of this card, you would see here we have the Diplomat. And there's about 15 or so different races or character powers that each have a special unique ability and a special starting building that the player always has access to. So there is a lot of variability in this game. But again, I'll be playing with the Dwarf. They have no special powers, but what you do have is this starting building right here. And these symbols right here indicate different types of goods. If I go to this building, I could either gain 2 goods of different types, or I can buy a building. This little symbol right here with the house and the $ indicates buying buildings. So that's a very valuable action, because the bread and butter of this game is buying buildings. Also here, you have these different slots right here. It's a track basically to indicate how much you have of each good. And you have these little tokens here, or these little wooden pieces, which each indicate the 4 different resources, and you basically place them and keep track of how much you have. Now, the game recommends that you get 3 resources of your choice to start off, so you could do any combination. Maybe you could choose to just have 3 of one, or 2 of one and 1 of the other, or 1 of 3 different types. However, for the purposes of being a starter or a newbie to this game, the game recommends that you just get 1 each. Now, I am playing this game solo, and this does have a fully operable or functional automa or AI player opponent, and that is the training dummy. Every time you play solo, you're going to be playing against the training dummy. And the training dummy, their special ability is that he can visit his character card even if occupied, because usually in worker placement, if a worker occupies a space, another worker cannot be placed there. However, if I ever occupy this starting building here, of the training dummy can still go here. So the training dummy, or the automa here, will get one of each different resource to start, just like I will. Now we have the 5 different buildings here, and let's just explain the anatomy here of the building. Here we have the cost. This building would cost $9 if you wanted to acquire it and add it to your tableau, and it would give you 9 victory points at the end of the game. And then here you read the different things that these buildings can do for you. Also, there's 4 different types of buildings in this game, represented by these different symbols. You have the anchor symbol here, you have the warehouse symbol right there, you have this little top hat right here, and you also have this coin. And each of these symbols represent additional abilities or bonuses that these buildings would give you. So for example, the anchor buildings, they trigger other cards that have this symbol that allow you to get additional abilities for having buildings of this type. The coin symbol basically indicates that you can buy, if you have a building with this symbol, you can buy future buildings for 1 less coin or 1 less dollar for each of these buildings that you have. You also have the top hat, which allows you to use other players' buildings without having to pay a price, because just like Le Havre, this is very similar to Le Havre, if you want to use an opponent's building, you have to pay them. In this case, you pay them any one resource of your choice. You lose that resource and they gain that resource. However, top hats will allow you to use their buildings for free. However, let's just read a little bit about the training dummy. It says here, each top hat training dummy has negates 1 player's top hat. So for every top hat the dummy has, it'll negate 1 top hat that the human player has. Also, very special, each warehouse training dummy has, again, these are the warehouse buildings, the little symbol right here. Each warehouse that the training dummy has saves him 1 of each type of resource he ships, because that's a very important thing. Whenever you ship goods, in order to buy a building, you need to ship goods entirely. You cannot sell them partially. So that's a little bit of the challenge of this game. So again, I explained the 4 different types. The warehouses, oh yeah, the warehouses. The warehouses, for each warehouse, it lets you save 1 resource of 1 type that you don't have to sell in its totality. Again, the training dummy, he saves 1 resource of each type for having a warehouse. So warehouses are really valuable to any player, but especially to the dummy player right there. All right, so this is what's going to happen. Let's just simulate what the game would look like. I'm going to start with my turn. I have all of these buildings at my disposal. I also have the training dummies building if I were interested in it, and I also have my starting building if I'm interested in it. So I'm actually going to choose to go to my starting building, where I could get any 2 different types of resources or goods of my choice. And I'm going to choose, because the wood and the stone right now are the 2 most valuable resources, I'm going to choose, actually, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to choose to get 1 fish and 1 meat. And you guys will shortly see why. So I'll do that. Now it's the dummy player. The dummy player's worker will always go to the leftmost building that happens to be available. So 1 by 1, the dummy's going to move this way. Or, well, not necessarily the leftmost, but they're going to follow this sequence, right? They're going to start here, and then as subsequent turns go on, they'll go this way, considering the fact that these places are available and not blocked by the human player. Ultimately, after the 5th building, the dummy player will activate their own special building, their own starting building, and then on the turn following that, they'll start the rounds all over again from the leftmost building available. So because this building is available, the dummy player will get to choose. And this building here says, it says convert a number of goods of 1 type to another goods type up to the number of anchors you have. So for as many anchors you have, that's how many times you could activate this ability. The dummy's starting building happens to have an anchor. So that means they could activate this 1 time. They could exchange 1 good for 1 different type of good. And then it says gain 1 more of that good type. So they will exchange one good of any type. And when they're making decisions, they're always gonna preferably exchange the least valuable resource according to the market, and they're preferably gonna gain the most valuable resource according to the market. So in this case, they're gonna give up their fish. We just take off the tile from the board to indicate that they have none, and they're gonna gain a wood because of that. So they gain one wood, and then again, the building allows him to get one more of that same type. So he'll gain yet another good. And now they are done. Now it is my turn, and I'm gonna choose to go here to the canal lock. And the way the canal lock works is I get to give up two different good types, or two goods of two different good types, two of each, in order to gain 5 of a different type of good. So I'm gonna go here, and this is exactly why I gained the fish and the meat, because I'm gonna give up 2 of each of these in order to gain 5 of one good, and I'm gonna choose for that to be the wood. So now I've gained 5 wood, which brings me from 1 to 6. You can never have more than 6 of a specific good. If for any reason you ever make a decision that would give you more than that, basically that surplus is lost right there. Okay, now really important, I forgot to mention this. At the top of this resource market card here, you see these numbers here, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's how much you need to have of that specific good to even be able to sell it for the price that's listed. So in order for me to get these $5, I must be able to sell at least 5 goods. Again, as I mentioned earlier, if I happen to have 6 and I need to make this sale, I do not save that 6th one. I need to sell all 6 of those in order to get the $5. But the point is, you need to at least have the number on top in order to trade it. So I would need to have at least 5 wood. Now I have 6, and I'll be able to get it whenever I want it. You can never sell a good unless you're actively going to buy a building on that same turn. And none of the buildings happen to be $5 or cheaper. I think the cheapest buildings are 6. I believe the most expensive building, it might be 11. So that's somewhere where the range is. Okay, so there's that. Now it's the dummy player's turn. Again, they'll move to the next available card going from left to right. And they're going to go to the lighthouse. And the way the lighthouse works is you can gain a fish, a meat, a fish or a cow, a stone or a wood, gain a different type of good per anchor you have. So if you had 4 anchor buildings, well, you can't really have 4 anchor buildings because that triggers the end. But let's say you had 3 anchor buildings, you could gain 3 of these potentially. Just each single one has to be a different one. In this case, the starting player or the starting building of the dummy player is an anchor, so they have 1 anchor building. So basically this spot will let them get any one of these resources of their choice. Again, with the dummy player, they will always, if possible, if they still have room, choose to pick from the most valuable resource, which happens to be the wood. So they'll gain 1 more wood. Okay, now it is my turn. And let me see. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this ghost ship right here. Is that what I want? Is that what I want? No, I'm not going to go to the ghost ship. I'm going to go back to my starting building, and I'm going to gain 2 resources of my choice. And I'm going to gain a stone, and I'm going to gain a fish. The reason I'm getting a fish is because I want to get to 2 as quick as possible. To sell my cow or my meat, I would have to get to 3, and that might take me a little bit longer. So I'm just going to get my fish right there, and we are done with my turn. Now we'll move on to the dummy players, and they'll move to the next building available, which happens to be the pub. And it says here, they get rid of a wood and they get rid of a stone in order to get 2 meat and 2 fish. So they're going to lose their wood, they lose their stone, they're going to gain 2 meat, and they're going to gain 2 fish. All right. And now it is my turn. All right. So what will I do now? I really want, I think I might do, will I do that? Yes, I'm going to do that. I'm going to convert a number of goods of one type to another type. So I'm going to change my wood because I don't need 6 wood. I only need 5. I'm going to give up 1 wood in order to get 2 fish. So if I would have done the cow, that would have been excellent because I could have done the 8. But at the end of the day, there's no building here worth 8. There's a 7, a 10, and 2 9s. So that's all I'm going to do. Okay. I gained 2 fish and I gave up 1 wood. Now we're going to go with the dummy player. They're going to go to this building, the ghost ship, which in essence, it says move to a building occupied by a player and execute its action. You may do this without paying any toll. Oh, actually, no. I believe the ghost ship, there's a list of cards here on the back that it says that the dummy player is too dumb to interact with. Let me see right here. Let me see. And I believe, yep, the ghost ship. Buildings that it is always not smart enough to understand and will gain 1 of each good instead. So for this building, the ghost ship, instead of actually activating its power, what happens is the dummy player gets 1 of each resource. So that's what we'll do right there. Okay. And now it's my turn, and I think I'm ready to buy a building because I have the wood and I have the necessary fish, and they're going to buy a building soon anyway, so I want to get ahead of them on buying. And the market is about to change, you know, and I could change it to the detriment of the dummy player before they change it on me. Because again, once these things get sold and buildings get bought, this is going to fluctuate. This is going to change. And I'm going to end up being caught off guard, and what I think is valuable will not be as valuable if I allow the dummy player, who on their next turn is going to go here, to their starting building, if I allow the dummy player to catch me off guard, then I will pay for it. So instead, I'm going to buy a building. I'm going to go right here to my building here. And this allows me to either gain 2 different good types or to buy a building. And I'm going to use it to buy a building. And this is what's going to happen. I'm going to sell my wood. So again, I have to sell it in its totality because I don't have any warehouses to store any of these. So I will sell all 5 of these. I lower this to indicate that the sale has taken place. That gives me $5, which I need to spend on this turn. And I'm also going to sell the fish, which I needed at least 2 fish. I have 3, but again, because I don't have a warehouse, I have to sell in its totality. So that's 2 fish. So $5 plus $2 gives me $7. And this pub right here happens to be $7, and it would gain me 5 victory points towards my end game total. So I gained the pub, and now it's an additional building that I could use. The dummy player does not use your buildings. If you were playing a multiplayer game, opponents could use your buildings by paying you a resource. However, in this game, nobody will use your building, but now you have access to that building and you have its victory points. And we replace that card. Now we'll see this fluctuate. So first of all, we're going to move. The arrows here are very intuitive. It indicates how you adjust the market. We move the stone rightward. We move the meat. We slide the fish over here. And now all of a sudden, the wood is the least valuable of all the resources. Okay, so we're done with my turn. Now we'll go with the dummy player. They're going to go to the starting building. And let's see if they could build. Because if the dummy player can afford something, they will always buy. So the wood now is worth 2 for them, so that's not good. However, the meat is worth 4, and they do have at least 4 meat, so that would be an option. And the fish is worth 3, so they could potentially sell for $7. Unfortunately for them, none of the buildings are worth $7. So again, because of me jumping the gun and buying that building before them, now they're in an unfavorable situation where they cannot buy. So the dummy player's starting card does have an additional ability, another choice. It says discard and replace a building from the center row. So the way I always do it, I just replace the rightmost building and get rid of it. Okay, so there we go. Now it is my turn. And I am going to, where am I going to go? So I've got lots of stone, or a little bit of stone, and stone is very valuable right now, which is amazing. Let's see. I can't go here because I just came from here. So I need to go somewhere that is worth my while. I have this top hat. Oh man, none of these places are that good. This is tough. You know what? I'm going to go here. I'm going to get rid of one of my stones just so I could get one of each of the other 3 resources, and I'm done. Now we move on to the dummy player, and again, they start their path from the leftmost building here. And again, it says convert a number of goods of one type. So they're going to convert the least valuable good, which is the wood, for the most valuable, which is the stone. And they get 2 stones for that. Okay. Now it is my turn again. And I think I'm going to... this is a tough one here. I think I'm going to go back to my building here and get 2 more different resources. I'm going to get 1 more fish and 1 more wood. Okay, now it's their turn. They're going to go here, and they can convert 2 of 2 different good types for 5 of a third different type of good. So again, we're going to work with the least valuable, which in this case is wood and fish. So they're going to get rid of 2 apiece of those. And then they can gain 5. And in this case, it would be of the most valuable, which is the stone. They only have room for 3 more, but we'll do that. And now they have 6 stone. Okay. Now we'll move on to my turn. And let's see what I want to do here. I think I'm going to go over here and convert 1 wood into 2 meat. Okay, now it's the dummy player's turn, and they will go here. And again, they get 1 good for each of these types. They already have stone to its max, so they'll get the next most valuable good, which is meat. Okay, and then my turn yet again. And what do I want to do? I think I'm going to go over here to my building again and get 2 different types of goods. I'm going to choose 1 of them to be meat, and I'm going to choose 1 of them to be wood. Okay. Now it's the dummy player's turn again. They're going to go here. They're going to give up 1 stone in order to get 1 of every other type of good. So the dummy player is getting very close to buying a building. So I got to keep an eye out for that. Now I'm going to go over here to the canal lock, and I'm going to give 2 different types, 2 of 2 different types of goods. I'm going to give 2 of fish and wood in order to gain 5 of a different type of good, which I'll choose to be my stone. And now I'm getting ready to buy another building. All right, so now they will go over here. They give 5 of any type of good, but they're not going to do that because these are the most valuable goods. So whenever the dummy player, well, I guess they could do this. 5 of any good type. Whenever the dummy player, this is a bind right here. I guess they can. Theoretically, whenever they're unable to do an action on a card, they default to just getting 1 of each different good type, which they really can't do in this case either. So I'm just going to turn in the 5 meat because they're less valuable than the stone. And they're going to get 2 plus 3 of 2 different good types. So they'll get 3 wood and 3 fish for whatever that's worth. Now it is my turn yet again, and I'm going to get ready to buy a building because I only have 2 resources, but they're the most valuable ones. So I'm going to buy a building. I'm going to, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go to their building. You know why? Because I want to save this, have this available potentially for my next turn. So I'm going to I have to pay them a resource of my choice. I'm going to choose stone. So I'll give them a stone. I lose 1 stone. They gain 1 stone. And I'm going to buy a building. And I'm going to sell this stone, which I need at least 5 of, which I do have, for $5. I'm going to sell this meat, which I need at least 4 of. Oh, wait a second. I forgot. I have a top hat. I do not have to pay them that stone. So let me just give them 1 less stone for whatever that's worth. Forgot about that. That's very important. These top hats let you, get places for free. All right. So I will sell the stone for $5, and I will sell the meat for $4. And that's a total of $9. So I could afford 1, 2, 3, 4 out of these 5 cards. The question is, which one gives me? These 2 only give me 8 victory points. And at the end of the game, this is all about victory points. So I'm going to choose one of these 2, the ones that have 9. Primarily, I'm going to choose the one I really don't want the opponent to have. And I guess I'm going to choose the Shipbuilders Guild. Okay, now this is very important. Again, I'm jumping the gun because especially for this solo mode, you really want to, like, you know, beat your opponent or the AI to the punch of getting to those buildings, because what happens is the market readjusts and now you thought you were going to buy a building on a future turn and you're not able to because your goods are not that valuable. You want to put them in that position. So we replace this card. We're going to adjust the market. So again, we slide these all the way to the right. We rotate these as so. And now these goods, the market has completely changed. So now the dummy player will go here. Remember, one of their special abilities is that they can go to their starting building even if it's already occupied. So let's see if they can sell. They can, because luckily for the dummy player, they had a lot of a couple different resources. So they could sell their fish, which is 5, right here. And they could sell their wood for 4. And they could actually sell their stone for 2, which would give them 11. So they would sell these for 11, which means they could buy this card here, which is $10 and gives them 10 victory points at the end of the game. Remember, the game ends once a player has bought their 4th building. So already they are challenging me with just one single card. All right, so the dummy player is done. We're going to readjust the market. So now meat is the most valuable commodity. Rotate these as so. And now it's my turn. And we really got to figure this out because I'm feeling the pressure from the dummy player right here. So let me grab my piece right here. This blacksmith card is interesting. It replaced that lighthouse that they just bought. And by the way, they have a top hat. And one of the training dummies abilities is that for every top hat they have, they negate one of my top hats. In other words, I will have to pay them to use their buildings. And this lighthouse is now their building. So if I ever wanted to use this one, I would have to pay them. So I'm going to go to my place right here, and I'm going to get 2 resources. 2 resources. For now, I'm just going to choose wood and fish. Oh, these are theirs. I'm going to choose wood and fish. And now they start the rounds from the leftmost spot. They cannot do this card's ability because this card allows you to exchange 3 of one good type for 2 each of 2 different good types, and they don't have 3 of any goods. So again, when a dummy player can activate the card's ability, it just gains 1 of every resource. Okay, now it's my turn. I can do this. I can do that, but that's a little weak. And that's pretty much all I could do. I think I'm just going to go here, and I'm going to gain 1 wood right there. And we are done, because I gain 1 wood for every anchor symbol I have on my buildings, and I still only have 1 anchor symbol. Okay, now it is the dummy player's turn. They're going to go here, and they can exchange 2 of 2 different types of goods for 5 of a third type of good. Again, they don't have 2 of 2 different types. They only have 1 type that has 2. So instead, they'll just default to 1 of each resource. All right, my turn yet again. Let's see what I could do. I'm going to go right back to my spot and gain 2 different goods of a type, or of 2 different types. So I got a wood and a fish. It's the dummy player's turn. They're going to go here. They only have 1 anchor. This anchor symbol is not part of the building. It's an ability. So they're going to gain 1 wood for their 1 anchor symbol. And now it's my turn. And I'm going to go back to the canal lock. I really like this building. And I'm going to exchange 2 fish and 2 wood for 5 meat right there. Okay. Now the dummy player will go to the Masoners Hall here. They'll give up 1 stone for 1 each of the other good types. Right there. Okay. Now it is my turn yet again. What can I do? I really want to get some stone if possible. Even though fish could be very, very helpful as well. I'm going to go right back to my building. I really like my building here. And I'm going to get 1 stone and 1 fish. Yeah, I'm going to get 1 stone and 1 fish. That's what I'll do. Okay. And yeah, that's what I'll do. Okay. Now we will move on to their turn, and they're going to do this right here. where they can exchange 5 of any good types, which they don't have any good type at 5. So instead, they're just going to gain 1 of every resource. And this dummy player is getting ready to build a building really soon. They're going to build a building before me, and that's something I'm going to have to accept. So I got to get ready for what the changes might take place in the market. That meat is going to be sold, that wood is going to be sold, and that fish is going to be sold. So stone is going to become very, very valuable right around now. So I think what I'm going to do in anticipation of that is I'm going to go over here to the Shipbuilders Guild, and I'm going to convert this 1 meat into 2 stones. So they're about to buy a building and get really, really powerful, which is scary. All right, so now they're going to go to their starting building, and they can indeed afford a building, because what they're going to do is they're going to sell all their meat for 5. They're going to sell all their wood for 3. And they're going to sell all their fish for 2. That's a total of 10 yet again. So there's no building here worth 10. There's a few worth 9. What they will always do is they'll always default to the building that gives the most victory points, which in this case is the canal lock, which gives them 9. So they've purchased this building. We adjust the market as so. And we keep on going. And that's pretty much what the game consists of. We keep on pretty much playing just like this until a player acquires his or her 4th building. And once that takes place, the game will resume until everybody's had an equal amount of turns. We will count out up the total victory points. So far, I have 14. The dummy player so far has 19. So it looks like they would win this game if we kept on going at this pace. And whoever has the most victory points at the end of the game is the winner. So this is the game. You could play it with multiple people. You could play it solo. I find this solo mode to be, functional. Perhaps not the greatest solo mode that Scott Almes has ever come up with, but it absolutely works. If you like the Tiny Epic series, and if you like Le Havre, I would say that this game is a must-have. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. This is Harry from When Harry Met Board Games saying take care, everybody. Stay safe. And have fun gaming. Bye-bye.